Yeah.
So welcome everybody to Beyond the 90. I'm with Dewan and special guest Dewan and Anthony as usual. How are you both?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Thanks for having me on.
It's all right. And how are you?
Absolutely fuming, if I'm honest.
It sounds like you've got a lot to talk about, so I'll just hand over to you. What are your thoughts about the match? Oh, aren't you there?
Yeah, Mel. Sorry, I think you cut out then slightly, mate.
Yeah, I was like, hand over to you because it sounds like you've got a lot to talk about, you're fuming about, so I'll let you have the floor.
All right, I could be going for a while. So, to start, okay, if you said play Maddison on the left wing, which is where he played the majority of the game, 2 defensive midfields at home, slow backwards passing, what manager does this sound like we're describing? Because it doesn't sound like the Brendan Rodgers football that we've been playing.
Yeah, and it's he who shall not be named. Hey, yeah. Go for it.
I don't get against Brighton why we are playing with 2 holding midfielders.
It's the only thing I could think of is squad rotation, but we didn't even rotate the squad that much this time.
Yeah, and I'm not sure why Barnes didn't start either. I think once he came on, there was a bit of an effective, as you can sort of see, the attack was there. There was a lot more urgency from the team, and it's a bit weird the fact that there's no fans because there is no fire. I mean, any match you talk about this season, well, ever since the return of the Premier League, it hasn't felt like the Premier League. It felt like some sort of friendly matches. No one's given their best, or some of the matches haven't been exciting. I don't know if it's just because we can't hear the fans or what it is, but it just, I don't know. The Premier League sort of, the taste is gone. That's how I feel like at the moment. And yeah, in terms of formation against Brighton, I think maybe the Arsenal match, when they saw that Brighton beating Arsenal, maybe they felt, maybe Brendan Rodgers felt a bit more defense minded to come into this game, which he shouldn't have, because you've got Vardy, you've got pace, you've got Gray in the game. They can create chances, and they weren't being used as much. I didn't understand why.
Yeah, I think the issue was we're playing this different formation. So me and Ant were discussing it's like a 4-4-2, but they were trying to go to a diamond in the middle, and it just didn't seem to work. So I'm not sure why he didn't change it at half time. Mendy looked good for the fact that he's not played many games, but him and Ndidi just kept getting in each other's way. And times Maddison kept dragging back, and that front 3 was really, really annoying because you could throw a blanket over them. They're all so close together. Yeti Boy just puts a comment in now as well. Why do you think Maddison played on the wing at the beginning of this? Didn't he do it at the beginning of the season? Yes, it's something that we've been saying. He needs to play in that cam position.
Yeah.
But as Anthony was saying, why are we playing him on the wing? So just back to you, Ant. What do you think we lost it on? Do you think it was formation? Do you think it was fitness? Do you think it was? You could even use the excuse if it was warm today. I don't know if we've lost Ant.
Say that again, mate. Sorry, it was a bit
okay. It's basically, yeah, with the Maddison playing on the wing. What's your thoughts about that?
Well, we've seen, how many times have we seen it not work? It's like, do we need to see it sort of another 3-4 times before Brendan Rodgers realises he's not a winger and he's a central player? I don't want to criticise Brendan Rodgers too much because he's done an outstanding job, but tonight he has got to take a big bit of responsibility for that performance.
Yeah, I think that's more down to the managers. I think you guys touched on 2 bits where you're talking about the 2 CDMs as well. It's just unnecessary. And then playing Maddison out of position, we just looked lost in the midfield. We didn't have anybody to really go to or anybody to really absorb the pressure, whatever. It just seemed flat, outdated. It seemed like Chilwell and Justin weren't getting up the wings as much as they could as well. So the play just looked, I think one word I've just wrote down here is disjointed all over the pitch. It just wasn't good enough. And when it's not working, because I think in the first half, I think Vardy had 2 touches and we just weren't getting the ball to him or Nacho. And it just wasn't working. So I don't see why at half time we didn't change it. So in the first half, it just did look disjointed. Another thing I want to touch on as well is Burn versus Mendy. So the number 33 for Brighton is huge. And for set pieces, we decide to have 5'6" Mendy against this giant of a player. So I don't know what we've criticised the set piece before. So I don't know what is happening.
And
But
for me, what was most... Oh, sorry, go on, mate.
No, so sorry. I just wanted to say that also the right back for Leicester, Justin, was really good actually. You created some decent passes. He was trying to get involved, and defensively he was really good because obviously Pereira is a different kind, and we've said quite a lot about him probably the whole of the season overall. But Justin coming into his place, I think did an okay job. He didn't create many chances or anything like. The main right back, but I think overall he did really well.
I think the one thing with him, he gave away the penalty was very, very sloppy and clumsy to give away. He got beaten by the long ball, and he just needed to either clear it or play it back to Schmeichel. I don't know why he's hesitated and then brought the man down. Because if Brighton had scored that, then we wouldn't have even. I would have had no confidence in us getting back in the game if Brighton had scored the penalty.
Yeah, I agree. There's the one thing I have to say though is that the ball was coming over the top and it was just about to be cleared and it clipped off his back ankle. Both of them didn't really know much about it. But if you remember about this time last season when they put Soyuncu in and Soyuncu gave away the penalty, it reminded me of that where it just looked like inexperience. Now, if you give it another few months and hopefully he'll have a better run in the team, he's going to make mistakes and he's not going to play up to the same level.
Fulham, wasn't it?
Yes, that's the one I'm thinking of specifically. So because of that and the way Soyuncu developed, maybe it's just going to take more time in the ground for him to develop. But I think, Justin did okay. He recognised a few of the issues we were having. But overall, it wasn't a great performance. What do you guys think about Leicester? So I'll give this over to you, Dewan. So we've just drawn 2 games in a row now. We've not really scored. We've not really created that many chances within any of the games. Do you think that we'll slip out of the top 4? And do you think it will like Chelsea and Man U are just chomping at the bits to think, oh, we can get Champions League now. We can get that third space.
And it's a tough one. Like I said earlier, looking at the performances of most of the teams this season. I mean, look at Liverpool, for example, against Everton. There was nothing. I mean, they didn't look like the Liverpool before. Chelsea were struggling as well. Arsenal have been the same Arsenal, I would say, as previously. But Man City did well yesterday, but against Arsenal, they weren't that great. Arsenal sort of gave it to him, or let's say David Luiz gave it to him. So overall, it's a tough one to judge on what would happen next because looking at the teams at the moment, no one's really performed so well. Brighton is they've done well. To be fair, they've done well for now. I mean, look at where their place is and then where they are now. I mean, it's fine for them. But Leicester, there's many more. There's a few more games left. Who do you guys have next?
That's a good Chelsea in the quarterfinal of the of the FA Cup.
No, sorry, I mean Premier League. Sorry.
Oh, I'm not sure. I'll have to have a look. You should know these things. Just while I look at that, we've just shouted to Doug, so from the Dugout channel, who's a Liverpool supporter. I know you are as well, Dewan. So he just put, we were rubbish against Everton. So I was going to say, do you want to talk about that for a little bit?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's nothing more you can say about that. Everton could have won the game, and that would have been disappointment. I mean, this is a team Liverpool have done really well, but with Liverpool, I think the worst player on the pitch, who's had a very good season, surprisingly bad, was Alexander-Arnold, and Liverpool depended on his crosses against Everton, and they kept giving him the ball, and he wouldn't do anything with it. His corners were fine, but when it came to in play, he couldn't do anything. He couldn't even pass 10 yards. I don't know what happened to him. I don't know if it's because of these 3 months he hasn't played in many effective games, hasn't been playing competitive games. I don't know. I don't know what happened. But Liverpool were not Liverpool against Everton. From judging them by overall this season, they've been really good in the Premier League. Obviously, there's only a game against Man United, a draw, a game against Everton, a draw, and a game against Watford, a loss. The rest has been win. I mean, you can't really say much more than that. Anyone would swap their position with Liverpool at the moment, but we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully, Liverpool will win the title in the next coming game, I think, against Sheffield United.
Yeah,
you were saying how bad Trent was. I found it quite funny because Sky voted him as the man of the match for that game.
Are you joking?
No, genuinely serious. Sky voted him.
I mean,
if Ben Chilwell man of the match for ours.
Yeah, for Watford when he had an absolute stinker but scored a good goal.
Yeah, that goal was brilliant actually from him and from Watford as well. But I'm actually surprised whoever voted for Trent being man of the match. Maybe it was because of he did have the only shot of the game, I think, for Liverpool side being on target from the free kick. But it's I don't know. I would say
I thought Seamus Coleman was the man of the match for me.
Is it okay? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, from what I saw from my perspective, they relied too much on him, and he couldn't get decent crossing. I think what's his name? Henderson played okay. Mane was okay. Firmino wasn't great. I think Liverpool needed Salah, and unfortunately, he apparently wasn't match fit at the time. So, yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm really shocked that Trent was that good. But maybe because overall the match wasn't so good from Liverpool's perspective. But
the thing is, I think it's the same with Chilwell. They don't particularly have to be good because Sky will always try and give it to the England Golden Boys.
Yeah, but with Trent, I think Liverpool relied too much on him because obviously most of the assists this season has come from him, and he's been phenomenal this season. He's been sort of the David Beckham-like of Manchester United for Liverpool with this crossing. But I don't want to say that Liverpool really should depend on one guy. I mean, they've got an outstanding team, and overall the team weren't good enough. And to be fair, I think the person who should have got man of the match should have been Alisson. If it wasn't for Alisson, Liverpool would have lost that game.
Just got a message from Doug. So, fellow, as I was talking about earlier, he goes, Coleman got man of the match. Actually, he's saying, but just Coleman got man of the match. But anyway, Seamus Coleman got man of the match over Alexander-Arnold.
I think that was good in terms of overall performance from both sides. Everton's Coleman did really well against Mane. I would say I agree with that being man of the match, definitely. If it was Trent, I'll probably have to stop watching Liverpool.
I saw it on Twitter. The Budweiser man of the match thing. That's where I got it from. But my bad.
But yeah, I think Coleman overall did very, very well. I agreed with that because he defended Mane, stopped him from creating anything, and he was our most threatening player from Liverpool in that game was actually Mane.
Just to bring it back to Leicester City, so just to come back to that, so fixtures, we've got Everton on Wednesday is our next game. Just on the final dying moments of the game, coming back to the Brighton game, what did you guys think about that last minute handball? So I'll hand over to you, Anthony. What do you think of that last minute handball? Anthony, what do you think of that last minute handball? I don't know if you can hear us. Seems to cut in and out. Yeah, I don't know if you saw it, Dewan, the last minute handball.
I can't remember which moment was it?
I think it was Lewis Dunk towards the 92nd minute.
I'm not sure. I think that was fine. I think that wasn't really much of a handball. I think more the most effective moment was when Stevens for Brighton. I was saying to you as well earlier. I think that should have been a red card. Studs off the ground, both feet. That should have been a red card. And that could have. I'm not sure if it would have affected the game, but it would have played a part for Vardy to get more freedom because he was sort of doing well in terms of holding and stopping play most of the time. Yeah.
Fair enough. No, I'm not sure if I think it was a red card, but it was definitely wasn't looking at the ball, and he could have been given it. One more question from Yeti Boy. Who do you think was Leicester's best player today? Because it was quite hard to choose from, because there really wasn't a lot to choose from.
Choosing between a pile of shit, isn't it, really?
Exactly.
Probably say Schmeichel because of the penalty.
That's pretty much it, in my opinion. I would say Schmeichel, just because of the penalty. And to be fair, nobody really did anything special. Everybody looked off their game.
Yeah.
Do you think it was almost as like we were saying in the last episode about it's still quite new and it's almost like pre-season. So trying to play this many games in this amount of time, do you think this have an effect on the individual players and the individual teams? Like even Liverpool aren't performing. The only team that's really shining at the moment is Man City, who are just absolutely tearing it up. So do you think this is going down to it's too much football in too small a time?
Maybe. I can't. Like I said, we'll probably have to wait a few more games to see the players coming back, because they haven't really competed for over 3 months, and it's very difficult to judge the players. Some players aren't even fit, surprisingly, to start games, playing or whatever. So it is like I say, it's very difficult to judge Leicester today. Probably the next match, see how they do, same as the other teams. Let's wait as they play more games, then they'll get used to it, because it's weird for them. As most of the players have even said during their interviews, is that they find it weird. They need some sort of excitement. The fans aren't there. They're playing as if it's just some sort of friendly. They don't feel like they're playing the Premier League, and that can affect them. That can, because even me watching, when I was watching, as much as I love Liverpool, when I was watching the match, I felt like leaving most of the time, and I don't leave matches. I've always watched every match this season, but because of the fans, it does affect the game. It does affect your persistency and watching the game. But we'll see. Like I said, probably give it a few more games before we can actually judge the team's performances overall.
Yeah, I agree. There's definitely.
I think it's almost got a pre-season-esque feel to it at the moment. Like, obviously no fans, and the intensity's just not there. It's like you say, it doesn't feel like the Premier League. It just feels like a load of friendlies.
Yeah, even when we go to when we have our away days in Austria and have games over there, there's still fans that are there. Just a question for you, Anton, as well. We've talked about the two midfielders, the two CDMs. Do you felt like at times it felt like we were just hitting and hoping, like we'll just give a long ball, whether it's from Evans or James Justin or from another player, and just like, right, well, hopefully hit up to Vardy and he can make some of it? Okay, I think he comes and goes. So just a question off to you, Dewan. So do you think at times Leicester were just like, we're not sure what to do, so we'll just hit and hope?
Maybe, but I don't know. The way that the style of play didn't seem like there was a... Hello?
I'm here, mate.
Oh, sorry. Some app just came onto my screen. Sorry, randomly. When I was watching the football, there was trying to create something. They tried to make changes. Barnes came on. There was some effect in the game, but not much. They were trying to do something. They just saw too many players at the back, and they didn't feel like they could do anything in the final third. So their play was fine, possession was fine, but when they got to the final third, they just couldn't create anything. I don't know if it was because Vardy couldn't find the space and he wasn't trying fitness level. It's a very tough one. I mean, their first game back, and it's really hot today. So it is a tough one. It is a very tough one. And Brendan Rodgers, I do agree in terms of the formation. If he played more attack-minded, maybe we would have seen a lot more fluidity. But it's a tough one. It's a very tough one.
Yeah, I agree. It's a tough one for everybody to get through. But at the moment, we're disappointed with the result. Hopefully, this is the point where we should be looking forwards towards Man City, but we're looking back and hopefully the results won't go the way of Man United and Chelsea, which are later on in the week. So we're looking backwards to that. Just on that, since you've got the inside knowledge of the Brendan Rodgers, Dewan, so did this remind you at all of his time when he played with, was a similarity between this match and a Liverpool style that he tried to enforce?
Yeah, I think that style he's using at Leicester City, I'm not judging him by this game. I'm judging him overall from the first day he started for Leicester. Has been the Brendan Rodgers way. Get in possession, trying to put pressure on teams, and as he always says, within 30 seconds or within a minute, try to win the ball back if the opponent has the ball. That is his way, and I think that was one thing that I found surprising with Leicester, because back in the days when the Ranieri days and afterwards, before Brendan Rodgers days, I would say, was just get the ball, hit it forward, and someone chase it, and hopefully get the ball into net, such as Vardy. And with the style Brendan is trying to implement is the possession way, keep the ball on the floor, don't do too many long balls, and it's working. I think it's working really well. Maybe because of the pace of Vardy, as well as the midfielders and the two at the holding midfielders that he has, especially Ndidi, who I think is a very good player, and the attacking midfielder being Maddison, who's got so much creativity. And I would love him to be at Liverpool, as much as you would hate me to say that. But yeah, honestly, I think it's working. I think for Leicester City, where they are now is very good. I think overall they've had a good season. It's hard for me to see where they will go. I think, as everybody probably wants, it's just for this season to end and start the new one, because this is, like you said, too many games. What's going to happen for next season? I mean, we're only a month away from a normal Premier League restart of a new season. Are they going to end the season within next week, and then all of a sudden in August they're going to replay the new season? I don't know what's going to happen, but it's crazy. It's a period, isn't it? I mean, this coronavirus situation has affected so much, and maybe it affects the players' minds during the game, that they don't want to touch the other player. I don't know. I mean, it's a scary one, being involved as a footballer, that you're forced to play and try and keep this 2-meter distance. I don't know how it all works.
It is, I agree. Just another question from Doug, just towards you, Dewan. He's put, Brendan Rodgers always had a tendency to delay substitutes until the 70th minute when he was at Liverpool.
That's the same as Klopp, though. This is the same thing I say about Jurgen Klopp. But he does it on 60th minute, so about 10 minutes sooner. But yeah, he's got this thing. I don't know why he does this every time. Most of the time, I don't understand managers who do this. Most managers, even Mourinho is actually is a good example of not doing the 70, 60th minute. I don't get that period. If the player is not doing anything, what are you waiting for? I mean, you get to the 90th minute and you're still hoping that player does some sort of change to the game and still doesn't do anything, and then you regret it. Let's just look. If you really trust someone, like for example, when Brendan Rodgers was at Liverpool, he would I don't know, he bought someone called Ricky Lambert instead of Suarez. I mean, that was the worst transfer business. I mean, respected to Ricky Lambert for his age to be playing for Liverpool and trying to affect the game as much as Luis Suarez, but it's just two different ball games. And he tried to, and I remember Ricky Lambert was just playing, and he got to this, the 90th, 80th minute, and then he changed him and brought on someone called Fabio Borini, who's even 10 times worse. And I thought, well, Brendan, I don't know where you're going to be next season, mate.
Yeah, I think we're seeing that in this match. We've seen it before, actually, where we've played the similar formation that we're playing today, but just before half-time, they bought off Nacho and bought on another person to try and secure that formation. But for some reason, I think potentially it's a bit of tiredness. It's a bit of, we're still building into the game. He didn't take Mendy off, I think, until the 60th or 70th minute, then change the formation. And even though the formation was better, it was only about 10% better than the game overall. But disappointed we lost. So yeah, I think we'd all give Kasper Schmeichel a man of the match today. I'd like to thank everybody for commenting and subscribing. I really appreciate it. And we're going to say goodbye to everybody. So Hope you all enjoyed and subscribe. Dewan, and it's
thank you
been
for
great
having
having
me
you
on.
on.
Thank you very
No,
much
no
for
worries.
having me on, and hopefully the next match for Leicester is a win.
Yeah, no worries. Doug, just as a last minute thing, let's not be reminded of the 14th, 15th season. Haha, Dewan. Says
Yeah,
Doug.
definitely. Oh God, just even thinking about it now gives me nightmares.
So brilliant. Yeah, thank you, Yeti Boy and Doug, for commenting, and hopefully
you,
more
Nick.
of you will comment soon. And we'll speak to you all in the next video. So goodbye.